After Afghanistan's spectacular performance against Pakistan, Afghan batsman Ibrahim Zadran has dedicated his Player of the Match award to Afghan refugees who had been deported from Pakistan. Zadran's impressive score of 87 runs contributed significantly to Afghanistan's victory over Pakistan in the ICC World Cup 2023. He went on to say, and I quote, "I'm feeling very glad for myself and for my country. I want to dedicate this Man of the Match award to those who are sent back to Afghanistan from Pakistan." While in a post-match presentation, this was in fact said and conveyed, and this gesture by Zadran comes amidst Pakistan's directive for all undocumented refugees to leave the country by the 1st of November. This policy has affected nearly 1.7 million Afghan refugees residing in Pakistan. The announcement faced strong opposition from the Taliban-led government in Afghanistan, with Kabul deeming it unacceptable. We'll talk about this and more with our guest. Joining us on the show is Ambassador Deepak Vora, former diplomat. Also with us is Professor Madhav Nalapat, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian. Last but not the least, Sumit Peer, senior political commentator, also joins us on the program. Thank you everyone for being a part of this conversation. It's important to understand, that Afghanistan is doing well in the World Cup, Professor Nalapat, and it is also doing better than Pakistan when it comes to a number of factors. If you look at the Afghani currency also, Professor Nalapat, there was, a report just a few weeks ago that it had been doing better than the Pakistani currency, despite the Taliban, doing what it does best, which is of course intimidating its own people. The country is still doing better than Pakistan. It is perhaps not much of consequence that Pakistan is going to in fact be sending all these refugees back to Afghanistan, because it is eventually good for them considering the kind of status Pakistan finds itself in today.
Well, I'd like to say, Vineet, that if you go back into the 50s, 60s, up to about the 70s, till the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, you will find that Afghanistan was developing quite nicely. They had a very strong middle class. Women actually were very well educated, far better educated on average than women in neighboring Pakistan. And whether it's the Pashtun people or the Uzbeks or the Tajiks or the Hazaras, they're all absolutely wonderful people. And I can tell you that the potential of Afghanistan is huge. This is a country that's sitting on a huge pile of human resources and natural resources. Now, it's another matter that the United States ran away from Afghanistan, and in the process of running away, basically kneecapped the Afghan military by removing its logistical support all of a sudden, just without any notice. It's a different matter. But the fact is that the Afghan people cannot be put down. And believe me, I can tell you, one day Afghanistan will recover, and India, we have the privilege of being a good friend of Afghan people right from the beginning, absolutely from the beginning. And I want to congratulate this the star, if I may say so, the star of the match. Not only has he held the flag of the Afghan people high, he has held the pride and self-respect of the Afghan people high, because what Pakistan has done is absolutely unpardonable. Pakistan is making a big fuss about Israel saying that people from the north of Gaza should go to the south of Gaza. They're making a huge song and dance about it. That's about 1 million people. And here you have nearly 2 million people being forcibly expelled into a different country, and Pakistan doesn't see the clear double standard. I frankly feel it's a disgrace that this kind of an order has been given. And in my view, it's a very heroic and correct action on the part of this Afghan sportsperson to have said what he said and dedicated this victory to the Afghan people, who are now basically having to relocate without any, frankly, any desire of their own, as a consequence of the order given by the same country that every hour attacks Israel for telling people to move into safety in the south. And here you're asking the Afghan people to move. I'm not sure it's going to be safe, frankly. You're forcing them to move. What kind of a double standard is that, Vineet?
Absolutely right, sir. Ambassador Vora, what what double standards we are talking about? Pakistan, a country is obviously embroiled in a number of problems of its own. There is no food to eat, there is no electricity. There is no political will at this time to fix the economy of Pakistan as well. The people over there are suffering. You've seen the dollar price, you've seen the petrol prices, they've all soared sky high. Nawaz Sharif is back into the fold. Obviously, this is indicating towards one thing, that the army wants a new puppet government to be helmed by Nawaz Sharif, and that's why he's come back. Otherwise, if he returned a few years ago, he would have been sent to jail, similar to the way Imran Khan has been sent to jail. But, a country that cannot show any kind of sympathy or empathy towards its own people, what more can be expected from a country like Pakistan to show sympathy and empathy for the people of Afghanistan? And considering the fact that Afghanistan is doing better than them in a number of economic avenues, is alarm enough for them to make this careless move?
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. It's always a pleasure. And first of all, to you, to Professor Nalpat, to Mr. P, and to the millions of people who watch your amazing channel, happy Dussehra. Also, since I've come back after a while, I must explain that I was in Professor Nalapat's magnificent state, Kerala. I went to the temple of Guruvayur and surrendered my hair to the Lord. So Professor Nalapat, thank you for letting me go there. It was absolutely amazing. I saw the elephants dancing and so on. Sir, in October 2023, a Pakistani cricketer playing the World Cup in India dedicates his century to the brothers and sisters of Gaza, thus making a political statement. The same month, after beating Pakistan in the World Cup preliminaries, the leading Afghanistan batsman dedicates his Man of the Match award, I believe he gets some money also, to Afghan refugees. What a magnificent humanitarian gesture. He's not making a political statement. He hasn't talked about any other country. He's just said, my brethren, my brothers and sisters, our children, this is for you. So the witch's brew in Afghanistan never ceases to amaze me. The Roman historian Pliny the Elder had famously quoted a Greek proverb in the 1st century, ex Africa semper alicet novi adfer, which means out of Africa, always something new. He could well have been talking about the Afpak region. So the matrix shifts constantly, like the ever-changing Gestalt pattern. The only constant is the intense dislike, Professor Nalapat, Mr. Peer, of the Afghans for Pakistan. It borders on hatred. When the Taliban retook Kabul, August 2021, ordinary Pakistanis who have been brainwashed to hate India, killing Kafirs apparently gets a couple of extra virgins in Jannah, they danced with gay abandon. The dance became a funeral procession when the Taliban and their offspring, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, trained their guns on Pakistan. And then various Pakistani leaders, including the former cricket player, most appropriately, who's sitting in jail, and his special assistant said that the American edifice has crumbled like a house of cards, but Pakistan has not been able to build itself a mansion of bricks. What is happening therefore now, sir? I'm quite sure you covered the return of that badmash who calls himself Sharif to Pakistan. And there were hundreds of thousands of chaps in Lahore to listen to the speeches that he was making. I call this, with reference to my own country and several other developing and developed countries, I call this the crowd index. The more developed you get, the richer you get, the thinner the crowd at these political rallies. I don't think in India we have a rally, at least I haven't seen one in the last 7 or 8 years, where there are more than 20 or 30, maximum 40,000 people, even if it's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Those people are getting on, busy with their lives, they want to make money, they're getting rich, etc., etc. What I believe is now going to happen is, with the witch's brew in Afghanistan getting stronger by the day, I think the relationship between the two countries is going to go downhill. I believe the Americans are coming back to Pakistan, and they're going to use Afghanistan. And this is, again, I don't have access to any classified information. They are going to use Afghanistan to beat up those guys in Tehran, to crush the snake's head in Iran. And the best way to do it, because the Taliban, who are Shia, cordially detest the Iranians, the Taliban, who are Sunni, cordially detest the Iranians, who are Shia. And so they are going to use this, the western part of Afghanistan. I believe the infrastructure already exists. Many years ago when I was there, I saw that the Americans were busy doing it. So I believe that is going to be the important thing to watch out for. talking about Gaza and so on, well, very good. But Pakistan itself, in a total mess. What was it 4 days ago, Mr. Pete, that Pakistan International Airlines cancelled all its international flights because they don't have money to pay for the
They don't have petrol. They don't have money to pay for petrol.
For the aviation turbine fuel. And 40% inflation, and one or two out of every 5 Pakistanis living below the poverty line. And then all these guys show up there, and that Sharif tries to work up some emotion in his voice and says, "Humko ye karna hai, wo karna hai." And then his son-in-law, the cashiered captain from the Pakistan army, talks of, "Hum bomb phek denge Israel ke upar, hum ye kar denge." The fellows have totally lost it. Again, reminding me of what Karl Marx has said, that when the stomach is empty, shove religion into the people's stomach so they don't talk about anything else. So to conclude, sir, thank you for the time. I do believe that the gesture made by the Afghan cricket player shows his concern for his people. No Pakistani gives a SH1T about his people. Almost 1 million Pakistanis, and I'm saying this very slowly so that people watch your show can absorb this. Almost 1 million Pakistanis have left their country, legally or illegally, so far in 2023, as per the UN report that I have seen. And many of them have drowned, gone to the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea, etc., etc. Any boat tragedy, the majority of the victims are Pakistan. What does this suggest for the people of Pakistan? A total, overwhelming, paralyzing sense of hopelessness.
Absolutely right. So, Sumit Peer, what do you make of what's going on between Pakistan and Afghanistan at this point in time? At the border also, Pakistan has been taking a beating when it comes to the TTP. Afghanistan is, of course, peeved with Pakistan already. What will this kind of a move on behalf of Pakistan do to the tensions, which are already, in fact, making life very, very difficult for Pakistan?
Vinny, thanks for having me on your show. Wishing you all a very happy Dussehra. On that note, the first thing, this exposes the hypocrisy of Pakistan, because Professor Nalpat and Ambassador Saab have already made some pertinent points. You see, how come Biradri or the brethren of Ummah are not given shelter to the brothers of the Ummah? I mean, you talk of Ummah and Summah. So how come you are letting the Muslims leave? How come you are asking fellow Muslim to go? This is against the ethos of Ummah. This is against the ethos of Islam. You see, these Pashtuns or the Pathans are Muslim. Afghanistan is Muslim. They are Sunnis, you are Sunnis. So you are telling your Sunni brothers to go back to Afghanistan. So you're asking 1.7 Sunni brothers to go back to Afghanistan because you don't have enough food and resources to feed them. That is what your evident problem seems to be. Second problem is, remember, we need a couple of months back, the Interior Minister of Pakistan, which is not in the current cabinet, has said that all these Pathans are terrorists. Bhai, mujhe kya pata inme se kaun sa terrorist hai? They think that if Pathans go and leave Pakistan, then the lethality of the attacks of Tehreek-e-Taliban will be minimized, because they believe Tehreek-e-Taliban is funded, is helped and supported by the Afghans or the Pathans who are living in Pakistan. Now, technically speaking, the whole of KPK belongs to Afghanistan. It's because of the Chinese interest, and the Chinese have been trying to keep Taliban happy, not letting them claim the entire KPK, because they know that will trample their interests in Pakistan. It's because of that the Taliban are holding it a bit back. Now, Pakistan is a country which said, look, we have liberated people, Taliban have liberated people of Afghanistan from the shackles. Good. Who sold the information on Osama bin Laden? Pakistan. Who sold the information of Ayman al-Zawahiri? Pakistani. Where did the drone start or move in its airspace? It was Pakistan. Now, 9 crore people have been put in below the poverty line. Put below the poverty line. That's approximately 40%, 35% of the population in the last 9 years, when we have hardly 10 million people who are below the poverty line. So they have put 9 crores people, 90 million people below the poverty line. That is the story of Pakistan, we need. And now on the top of that, you have 1 out of 3 in Pakistan is diabetic. Bade ki biryani, oont ki qurbani. 1 out of 3 is diabetic. 10% of the people have known mental ailments. If you do run a bigger research, you might have a much bigger number. So you have a birth rate of 3.6%. That means in 20 years, you will double. Imagine that piece of land having 50 crore people, it will be worse than Gaza. Now, Afghanistan is doing better than you. Their currency is better. They are still looking forward. They did not say we want to go into jihad in Palestine. They initially Taliban said, and then they retracted. Now, I have seen Pakistan government officers police walas in uniforms appealing to the government, writing letters to the government, kindly let us go through Iran to do jihad in there. Iman taqwa jihad feasibillah. That is the motive of the army. Now what is the chief of the army staff called? Sayyid. Hafiz, Asim Munir. Sayyid and Hafiz is more important than the title. Now, what I wonder that when the army works on jihad and the army's motive is to do jihad, what is this Sayyid Hafiz Munir, whatever his name is, what is he doing here? He should go and do jihad with Hamas. Now, Vineet, as per reports yesterday or day before yesterday, one of the top commanders of LET, second hand next to man of what is called this Hafiz Sayyid, was eliminated in Gaza. There are more than 2,000 soldiers who have gone to Gaza, are fighting with Hamas. Thousands of them have been eliminated by IDF. And what is happening on our line of control? Mortar positions they have brought back them into civilian areas. They have moved artillery division. They have moved more than 5,000 troops in last 48 hours or so. So they are preparing for a big ceasefire violation. इसे कहते हैं घर में नहीं दाने अम्मा चली बुलाने. So when you are I'm not going to use a very proper word. When you are the concubine of the China, you don't have too many options to think. You will do what China will tell you to do. मैं तो हिंदी में बोलूँगा पाकिस्तान वहाँ मुजरा करता जहाँ China पैसे फेंकता. It's as simple as that. So this Hafiz, this Quran and all is all a sham. This is all this sympathy for Palestine is all a sham. भैया एक बात बोलता हूँ. Palestine, you have how many? 2 million people. You have 57 Islamic countries. Even if you take 50,000, the problem will be over. By Pakistan, you are the ठेकेदार of Ummah. Why don't you take these 2 million people? 20 lakh लोग ही तो ले लो ना पाकिस्तान में. क्या problem है? Ration नहीं तो हम ration भिजवा देंगे उनके लिए. So this all is a facade. This all is a drama. We need the Islamic world is exposing itself like anything, and the Pakistan's duplicacy. That Pakistan's, that chokidar of Islam and all, and instantly we need they brag about this nuclear bomb, Islamic bomb. अरे भैया ये भी तो यहूदियों ने बनाया है. Even that Islamic bomb is made by a Yahudi. How can you use something which is made by Yahudi? And what does the Holy Book say? Holy Book says, by the time all the Yahudis or the Jews are not, wiped out from planet Earth, the Qayamat or the day of Akhirat will not come. That is where we are talking about. It is we are talking for religion which talks the second religion should be wiped clean. Then only you will have Qayamat. So this is a fundamental religious jihad. Jihad is a perpetual state of war.
Right, and
they have to have anything and everything.
Professor Nalpat, what are the options for Pakistan at this point in time? The implosion that we predicted a few years ago has finally taken place. It is becoming a more dangerous place because now there is no anger outside of Pakistan towards its neighbors. There's anger within Pakistan towards the people who are trying to run it and have been failing for decades now miserably.
Vineet, the fact is that the Pashtun territories were grabbed by the Pakistan military because there's no Pakistan state. There's the Pakistan military. The reality is that the Durand line ought to have been removed years ago, and that territory should have come back to Afghanistan. And you have the Pashtun people there. And what are the Pashtun people in Pakistan going to think when you have so many Pashtuns being pushed out, and you have ministers who are calling them all kinds of names which they certainly do not deserve, because overall the Pashtun people are interested in education. The women, especially, they are very interested in education, etc. They don't get that opportunity in Pakistan. They're not getting any opportunity in Afghanistan, but they're potentially very high quality. So the point is that what will the Pashtun people in Pakistan think when their Pashtun brothers and sisters are forcibly removed? They will get even more angry. There'll be even more recruits of Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. And may I point out, Vineet, in this very channel, when the Taliban took place, you recall I had said there are 6 groups in the Taliban. 2 of those groups run from Rawalpindi. 1 group run from the Central Military Commission in Beijing. And 3 groups that I called at that point in time Free Taliban. Now the reality is, over the last few years, the Free Taliban is now accounting for more than 80% of the members of the Taliban, and they're all young people. The 2 factions of Taliban that are pro-GHQ, the 2 factions, the 1 faction that is controlled by China, these are basically old people, and these are people living in luxury, and they've been living luxury for a long time. and they're being fed by their masters in Rawalpindi and Beijing. But the free Taliban are young people, and they don't like Pakistan at all because they don't like the way their Pashtun brothers and sisters are treated in Pakistan, for one thing, and they don't like the fact that the Pashtun territories have not been united, even after the Durand Line has long ago, that the duration of Durand Line, I think it is 99 years, is over long ago, and it's still around. So may I say that all Pakistan is doing is multiplying its problems. 1.7 million people being asked to move out is not going to be a very simple process. It's going to create a lot of resentment. They're going to have Pashtun brothers and sisters in whose house they're going to stay. Is the Pakistan army going house to house to throw them out? And then what happens to the Pashtun psyche? What happens to the motivational effect on people who will join the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan? So I'd like to say Pakistan has landed in a bigger mess by this very uncaring, thoughtless gesture to a very noble people. And I would only like to say that very soon, the security implications of this and the impact on the Pashtun psyche are going to be felt in Pakistan very severely.
All right. Ambassador Vora, almost out of time, sir. Concluding thoughts from you and Sumit, and then we wrap up.
Yeah, sir, we were talking about Afghanistan, but since we shifted to Pakistan, my conviction is that a shattered Pakistan would be the world's best gift to itself. There can be no peace with or in Pakistan as long as Pakistan is in one piece. The military has created, we all know, an Islamic terrorist infrastructure that has superseded state institutions. The Pakistani citizen is alienated from the state. You see this every day, and he sees violence as a legitimate alternative. Baloch, Sindhi, Muhajir tribal, they detest the Punjabi-dominated establishment. All I will say to you at this point of time is, Pakistan suffers from a disease that it has inflicted on itself. Like Alice in Wonderland, it lives in a world of fantasy. And when Alice asks the Cheshire cat, show me the way out of Wonderland, the cat says, that depends on where you want to go. Alice says, I don't know. The cat says, then take any way if you don't know your destination. That is Pakistan's dilemma.
Well said, sir. Sumit, quickly, 30 seconds.
Vineet, you see, the first and the most important point is that when you have controlled fission, it generates power. Uncontrolled fission is atom bomb. So Pakistan has reached a stage where uncontrolled jihad is a self-detonating atom bomb and an uncontrolled fission which will dismantle not only Pakistan, but you will see the ripples going to all 57 countries. Take my word on this. Second point, Pakistan doesn't realize one thing. All the SMEs, all the transport, all the taxi, all the hotels, all the chota-mota businesses are run by hard-working Pathans. These Punjabi Sunnis don't do anything. The bus, wo 150 kilo ka aadmi padegi biryani kha ke. So when you get these Pathans out there, who is going to run your business, who is going to run your economy? It will be a catastrophic effect on their ailing and failing economy as well. But these jihadis are so blinded by the jihad and their masters, they are not thinking of anything. They just want today, literally, if you think Asim Munir is in control, nobody is in control. It is an uncontrolled fission beneath. It is where you are trying to bite your own kind. You are trying to do jihad against your own brethren. So it's a jihad versus jihad, and whose jihad is bigger than my jihad, and will my jihad prevail over his jihad, or will his jihad prevail under my jihad? That is the story. Jihad versus jihad is where it has come. Otherwise,
what they should be doing at this point in time, Sumit, should be a jihad against poverty, should be a jihad against lack of education, and should be a jihad against the economic crisis that they themselves have created for Pakistan. Would like to thank all my guests for being a part of this conversation.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.